Welcome to Kick Back with Chris. Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast.
Brought to you by www.mittmaster.com.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast. As you've probably seen from the episode description, we're going to be tackling some slightly more serious topics this week, and we're actually going to dedicate the majority of the episode to a conversation with Matt Chapman that I had on the subject outlined in the description. Before we get into that, though, I am going to go through some bits of news, things that have been going on for myself and in the industry as a whole. Now, starting off, when I say in the industry as a whole, there's quite a bit of a sort of a film theme to this week. Just the bits that I've been rounding up and things that I've had going on. As before, I've actually been working away on Tribal. I've actually just done my last scene, which was a really, really fun one, actually. I can't wait for you guys to see the location that we were in, because it was absolutely amazing. Obviously, I'm not allowed to talk about where it is or what we were doing, but what I will say is it's absolutely fantastic. And all these years that I've been working on all the different films that I've worked on, I've never worked anywhere quite as amazing as the place that we were in for the shoot that we did. But I'm going to stop before I say something that I'll get in trouble for. But in similar news, this December, something that a lot of people have been waiting for, we've finally got the release date for Ip Man 4. So it's going to be coming out in December, which is going to be on us ridiculously quick. Obviously, we're rapidly working our way through September, so it's going to be there before we know it. And what's really cool is our good show friend and friend of mine, Mr. Mark Strange, is going to be in there, so you'll be able to check him out in his scenes. I'm not really sure how much I can say about what he did, but I know that he gets some good action time there, so be sure to check that out. Another cool bit of news in film-related subjects is Avengement. The Scott Adkins film Avengement is now on Netflix, which is cool. One of my favourites of his to date, actually. I think that's it's fair to say from a lot of people as well. It's something a little bit different, but in there as well, we've got, again, Mark Strange is in there. We've got Lee Charles. These guys have both been on the show at some point, known them a number of years. We've got Rosso Hennessy as well, who somebody that I've also worked with on Tribal. Just been a couple of weeks ago. I was working with him. Such a cool guy, and obviously a lot of people will know him from Game of Thrones as well. Not a show that I watch, if I'm honest. Never watched it. Loads of people go on about it, but everyone's been banging on about how bad the ending is, so it's one I think I'll give it a miss. I don't want to sit through it all if the ending's that bad. But anyway, and also Beau Fowler, who is somebody we're actually going to be discussing a little bit further on into this section. The next thing, a documentary. Now, I do like a good documentary from time to time, and this one is from somebody called Mark Houghton, who I know a lot of you out there, both in martial arts circles and both in the film sector, will know. Somebody who's been involved for a number of years now, and he's put together a really cool documentary on himself, sort of chronicling his time in the martial arts and his sort of trials and tribulations, so to speak. It's called I Am the White Tiger. In there it covers everything from his move to Asia at a time really where there wasn't that many people doing that sort of thing, overcoming injury, working in the Hong Kong movie industry, and it really does focus a lot on the relationship between sort of student and teacher. And what I really liked about this as well was the real sort of positivity, with so much sort of guff, so to speak, going on in the industry. It was really refreshing to see something that was sort of really positively highlighting the benefits of martial arts. So yeah, go check it out. It's really cheap to rent on Amazon and Google. It's like a few quid. So really do go and support it. Obviously, if you want to buy it to keep as well, you can get it on Amazon and places like that. But yeah, it's Mark Houghton, and it's I Am the White Tiger, and I really would recommend you go and check it out. Now, few minutes ago, I was mentioning Beau Fowler in The Avengement. He's actually just released a short film that he directed and produced under the production company of Key Films. It's called Express Delivery. Now, this short film, I didn't know this, but it's actually won 46 international film awards, if I can say it, which is pretty good going. It's got some really clever choreography and good use of camera movement and slow motion, and it's really fun short. And if you're into your martial arts and movies, I'd suggest you go and check it out on YouTube. If you do a search for Express Delivery, I'll actually link it in the show notes as well, so you can go and check it out direct from that link. But yeah, as I say, really clever use of choreography and camera movement, and of course some top quality acting and martial arts in there as well. A number of UK performers can be seen in it, so give it some support, give it a share, and all that good social media stuff. Our friends over at Art Martial put out a new product alert today. I'm just going to read it from their post that they put out. It says here, new product alert. Sounded like a public announcement then, didn't it? New product alert. Our unique take on a legendary Bruce Lee quote. We try to create something different that you don't find anywhere else, so grab yourself a unique t-shirt design from www.artmartialclothing.com. And I'm just looking at it now, and it is actually a really, really cool design, like a dragon. I'm just going to see if I can bring it up bigger so that I can see what it says. I've clicked, oh no, what have I done? Here we go. Let's find it there. Okay, let's load it up full screen. So it says, I love it. Showing off is the fool's idea of glory, Bruce Lee. Brilliant. So yeah, it's a really nice dragon motif. I might get one of those myself. Speaking of which, if you go to their website and you use the promo code CJ19, you can save yourself 20%, which is pretty cool. I'm actually, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to add it to the cart. I'm actually going to do this now. I'm going to use the checkout. So let's have a look here. How do I do this? So go to checkout. I'm going to see if I can do it live. I'll say live. Right, there. So you put your discount now. So what I've done is I've put the shirt in the cart. I've gone to the next section, which is where you pay, and in the top right hand corner there's a discount code section. So I'm going to put it in now, CJ19, and apply, and then it's reduced it from £25 down to £20. So you save yourself a fiver. It's worth doing, isn't it, guys? So yeah, go check out the new cool Bruce Lee themed shirt, save yourself a fiver, put CJ19 in, everyone's a winner. So yeah, go check that one out, guys. You may have seen on Facebook, I did a post of the day. I'm still in the early stages. I'm thinking about doing a kicking workshop. Now, you might think, well, you do those all the time, and yeah, I do them several times a year at other people's events. But I've not hosted one myself, probably for around, I think it's about 15 years since I've actually hosted one in my own town, or say where I'm based now anyway. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a venue somewhere in the Yorkshire area, and open it up to everybody. So if you're interested in coming along, now I know a lot of you guys train with me when I'm at the different expos and stuff. I'm not going to be doing as many of those next year. So I thought what would be nice would be to do something a little bit longer. So 2 or 3 hours. And yeah, we'll work something out. If you're interested, get in touch. I know there are a number of people that do my workshops at the different events are listening to this probably now. So if you're interested in getting involved, drop me a message and I'll add you to the list. And as soon as I've got any more details, I'll let you know. Okay, the last bit of news before we move on to our two main topics this week is our good friend, fellow podcast host and martial artist and consultant, Mr. Gordon Bircham. Sorry, nearly butchered his name there. Gordon Bircham has released the details for his fantastic MABEX courses that he does. And they are, if you're a martial artist running a full-time school, or anything business related to martial arts, you really need to get yourself to it, seriously. I've done all of them since the first one. This year it's going to be on the 9th and 10th of November in Rugby. I can't remember the venue. See if I can find anything on. Anyway, get yourself over to Gordon's pages. If you do a Google search for MABEX as well, it should come up. Tickets start from 247 and they go up. It's a 2-day event. And with guest speakers from all different sectors of martial arts, and Instagram and YouTube and social media. all sorts, so it covers all the bases really. So if you're interested in that, which if you run a martial arts school, I would heavily suggest you get down to it because it is a fantastic event. If you get stuck, you can't find the details, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll drop a link in the show notes. I can't say better than that, can you, Gordon? You owe me some links in your show notes next time around. But no, joking aside, do go check it out. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is we're going to head over to our double header. So we've got 2 recordings this week with Matt Chapman. I did want to do our regular Matt chat as well as the first chat that we're going to do, which, as I say, it's a little bit more of a serious, or should you say, sort of sensitive topic. So yeah, I wanted to include 2 recordings this week, just so that we do get to do our regular Matt chat as well. So check it out, and I will catch you on the other side.
Brought to you by www.mittmaster.com.
It's time for our weekly Matt chat with Mr. Matthew Chapman. How are we today, sir?
I'm okay, actually. Yep. It's beautifully sunny where I am.
Yeah. It's like the weather forecast each week with this as well now. It's actually sunny.
We've got a tradition now, so we've got to talk to. And plus, we're British, right? So
yeah, and I'm actually recording from home, so I can see out of both windows in my living room, and it's sunny here as well.
Yay! The last of the sun before the winter hits us, and
I know. Again. And it's that time where all the newspapers are like, "It's going to be the coldest winter since time began."
Oh, it's just so irritating, isn't it? They said that last year. There's no snow last year, so just trying to sell papers, eh?
Must work.
Yeah, true.
Must work. And we've got. It's quite exciting for us in Harrogate area at the minute. We've got the UCI bike race this next week. I say excited. It's cool for the area, but it's a bit of a pain in the arse if you're a business owner because they're closing.
No one can get anywhere. Yeah.
No, yeah, they're closing all the roads completely.
Yes. Hey, don't worry about that, business owners.
Yeah. So there's. I mean, we're fortunate. We're in a position where we've got monthly memberships, but that being said, we actually have gradings and assessments, and because people can't come next week, a lot of them are choosing not to grade. So it is hitting us a little bit, but there are some people out there running courier companies and they work as carers and things like that. They can't get anywhere for 9 days.
So what? Hold on, what? I thought this was 1 day.
No, it's 9 days. 9 days.
Surely you're entitled to some sort of compensation then.
Oh, there you go.
Well, no, seriously though. I mean, you can't shut your business for 9 days.
Well, a lot of people are having to. So it's just a case of, well, we told you we were coming years ago, so you should have been ready.
I would just drive my truck through the barriers and park as normal and continue about my business.
Well, yeah, it's a massive. I mean, I'm not a bike race fan. I'm more for positivity and promoting healthy living, but I'm not like a cyclist or anything. I hate bikes. Sorry, right. Bike riders, but they don't agree with me at all. They hurt my backside for one. So, but no, they've got all the barriers up for terrorist attack things and all that. It's massive.
Oh my God!
It's a super huge international event, and it's for some reason they're doing it in the centre of one of the oldest towns in the country.
Yeah, the centre.
Work that out. So anyway. They've got that, so it's quite exciting, but it's quite at the same time. Anyway, let's move on to a slightly more serious thing. So, one of the big things that's been going around social media at the minute, and I know that you've been quite a big proponent for sharing this, for getting the word out there, was it specifically sort of the male side of mental health, and the suicide statistics that you shared as well, which was shocking.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. Seems to be out there. I think there's definitely some issues, and I've been talking to a lot of martial arts instructors doing my Fat Mat chats.
Yeah,
and maybe I've been doing it for about a month now. So say 30 instructors, and 3 of them mentioned that they had thought about suicide or had tried at certain points, and I was like, "What?"
Wow! And was this directly related or partly in relation to their martial arts business, or was this just something that was, underlying?
I think it's a mixture of events all happening at the same time that seems to overwhelm people. People are fairly resilient,
Yeah.
But if you have like one thing go wrong, you kind of cope with it, and two things you're kind of coping with it, and then if a couple more things, just a couple more wheels fall off, yeah, it just sends people into a downward spiral. So a lot of them had a few relationship issues going on, and then sort of health anxieties going on, and then problems with the martial arts business as well. And it was just like they couldn't cope, which is understandable if you got that amount of stress hitting you all at the same time. And I think from research I've done on mental health and different things, partly it's to do with the amount of support you have around you, I think.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are quite isolated. They just don't have people to talk to. They don't have friends who will sit down with them and, just listen without judging. They don't have supportive partners who will help them out. So they're kind of dealing with loads of stress just in their own head. And I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and as well, I think a little disclaimer as well before I say anything. I'm not a medical expert, a mental health expert. Anything. This is just purely opinion. But I think as well, not all. I know I do this, and I'll admit to it as well. As martial arts instructors, sometimes we do, as you say, we isolate ourselves. I don't allow myself to have what I would consider to be friendships as such with a lot of my students, because I like to keep sort of a personal
barrier, professional barrier there,
yeah, because I've got overly friendly, and I don't mean that in a do you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I've got I've got overly friendly with students in the past, and it's led to people taking liberties, to expecting favors, or and it's also from a business perspective as well. It cost me money in the past, because I'll have been invited to Fred's birthday party, and I think, I like Fred, I'll go to his birthday party, and then Jim asks me to go to Jim's, and I think, I don't really like Jim. I'm not going to go to Jim's party. But then Jim finds out I went to Fred's party, and then Jim's, well, you picking favourites now. And then Jim starts talking with his little friend circle within the club, and then they all leave. Because I have favourites.
We isolate ourselves, don't we?
So I just don't. Yeah. So I'm sort of generally friendly towards everybody, but not a friend to everybody.
No.
And I think, when you've got sort of, in my situation, like 200 plus students, I can count on one hand the amount of people I would actually count as friends from in that number. And even then, I don't go to them for anything. And I'm in there.
You don't feel like you can, do you?
Yeah, and I'm in there 6 days a week.
Yeah.
So
I think it's the whole martial arts being a superhero thing, you know. We're physically untouchable, therefore we should be mentally untouchable as well. And we have to act strong, confident, lead over time. I think people are trying too hard to live up to that kind of mythical figure that they think they should be. And it doesn't work like that in real life, because shit happens, and, stress happens, and bad things happen. And you need a little bit of support. And like you say, the nature of trying to stay an individual when you're running the club and not being unprofessional with your students is a problem. And the other problem is, obviously, our work is very antisocial in terms of normal working hours. So, for example, if you got a partner and, they work 9 to 5, they get home at 5, and you're just about to go out the door until 10, 4 or 5 days a week if you're a full-time instructor, and then you're doing gradings at the weekend, and you're doing competitions at the weekend and seminars at the weekend, you're kind of not around your partner very much, which causes a lot of marital stress, relationship stress as well. I think all martial arts wives and husbands understand that thing where the wife or husband's like, are you going teaching again? And why have you got another thing in the calendar about a seminar you've got to go to? And you've got another fight competition. We never get to do anything at the weekend. So all of that doesn't help as well, because we operate in a different time zone than normal people.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I'm in a sort of a fortunate position in that, I was already set up and running my school when I met my now wife,
Yeah.
but I could see it the other way round if you were already together or married, and then you decide to go into business. I mean, I think if you write it down, you look at it as go, oh, this is my martial arts school. We open at 5, we finish at 9, and then they can go, that's good because you can have all this free time and yeah. And then reality hits. It just doesn't work like that at all. There's a lot of other stuff that needs to be taken care of, and you never. I don't anyway. I can't speak for everybody. But you never truly switch off.
No.
If you're the instructor and the school owner, I mean, no, if you're the school owner, you turn off the lights and you leave. I mean, I was getting messages this morning at 7 o'clock from parents asking about, what was the question? Was something like, oh, when does my membership take me up to this month? At 7 o'clock this morning, and I'm like, and I can't. I mean, I could have just ignored it. But the whole thing with social media now is, they send a message, they expect a reply within a certain window, otherwise they get cross and go off and. So I'm there. I'm like blurry-eyed at 7 o'clock replying to this message, thinking, "Oh my goodness."
Oh yeah, I remember when I was running a school, I'd get messages from people interested in classes at 11:45, 1 o'clock in the morning, same sort of thing. And you think, oh, I'll just quickly answer them. And then you get into a little conversation with them, and it's so the social media. Speaking about social media, I think that's a major issue with a lot of people and their mental health, because I know a lot of people that I know who look at what's happening on social media with other people and then go, well, their life looks perfect and our life isn't perfect, and that type of thing. But everyone knows it's a highly edited selection of what's going on in your life, but I think that's a bit of an issue. Maybe martial arts instructors suffer with that as well. They feel like if they're teaching 20 people in a church hall, they should have a school of 200 full time with instructors. Maybe they feel like keeping up with the Joneses is a thing, which has come through social media. Because before social media, if you weren't visiting other people's schools, you wouldn't know any different. You'd have your little church hall operation. If that made you happy, you'd be happy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you see other people's full-time mega centers, may make you feel like you're not achieving as much. Possibly that might be part of the problem as well, which is ridiculous, of course.
Yeah, I think it's very true. I think there is a lot of, and I think social media is also arguably good or bad. You could depend on how you look at it. It's enabled people to grow their business at a stupendously fast rate. So they can go from 0 to 50 students in a matter of days, probably more if they worked it, in it differently. But I think that, I do see some posts from some people, without mentioning names, they're constantly on there having a good old gripe about everything. And you think, they're oh, well, I'm going to launch this. And you think, oh my goodness, that's going to explode on you. Are you sure you want to do that? And you don't want to say it as honestly as really. Do you really want a full-time school? Are you sure that's what you want? Because you're looking at whatever, depending on the situation, but you're looking at like 5-10 years on a lease, and you can't just go change my mind. It's just a big commitment.
Yes, which creates more pressure, right? Especially if maybe it's a mistake and you're like, oh, that was a mistake, I should have stuck where I am teaching a smaller group. Now I've got more hassles with parents, more instructor hassles, more staff hassles, more admin to do. And then you're stuck in a 10-year lease. So I think all these things contribute to it, definitely. But I was a bit shocked to hear that so many people had got that, desperate and had those feelings. So I went on a course a few months ago when I was dealing with a friend who'd attempted suicide. And it's called the Ollie Foundation, is the foundation name. They do a free course which you can attend, where you get advice on how to help people who are feeling suicidal and what to do about it and what you can do and what you can't do. It's very, very good. So if you are kind of someone who is dealing with someone who's feeling like that, I definitely recommend doing that, the Ollie Foundation.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, it's a difficult one, I would say as well for some people. I mean, I've it's just purely through, people coming through the school, and we have a separate social media account which I've spoken about before, specifically for members, and they've ended up staying on there even if years after they've left, and
Yeah.
and then a post will come up to say that they've attempted suicide, and I'm like, wow, and there was no warning signs, nothing really at all that you would, that outwardly they'd seem very jolly and upbeat about everything and enjoying training. And then the next minute you see this post, and I think they're going through these personal battles that suddenly just become too much. And
but the fact that you can't tell is kind of is because they're not talking to anyone about it. They're hiding it and then trying to deal with it themselves. And trying to deal with something that serious by yourself is very, very difficult.
Yeah, but I mean, I think, as you said at the start, there's that, especially with guys, there's the stigma attached to it, isn't there? It's not, we don't talk about feelings, and we get on with it.
Massively better, isn't it? I mean, there's been so much social media on it and so much stuff in the press about it. So I think in 10 years it'll be fine. People who need help will go and ask for help. They'll go and do talking therapy. They'll go and see their doctors about it. They'll speak to their friends about it. I think, I think it's on the change, which is really, 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 really positive.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the good things that, we were saying about social media and the negativity it can have. I think that is one of the good things about it, because I've seen several higher profile martial artists and instructors speaking about this recently, and I thought, wow, that's incredible. Firstly, it's incredibly brave, but it is good that they are sharing it, because the hope is that somebody else in that situation reading it will go, that's kind of how I'm feeling. It's okay. I can go and speak to
if you think about it, like if I've got anything wrong with my body, I go to the doctors. It's like not frowned upon, if, something's not working right in my body, I'll go to the doctors. People would encourage me to go to the doctors. I think with mental health, there's this feeling like, oh, I don't want to go to the doctors. It's nothing, or I don't want to go on the pills, or I don't want to speak to anyone about it. So there's still a feeling that, it's something you can handle yourself. But I've had therapy in the past. I've been to counselling and things like that. I found them really, really useful. So I think if there is an issue that's causing you that amount of mental stress that, you would consider something like that, then that's a sign that you need to go and get help like you would if you had a physical issue that was causing you that amount of stress. I don't see the difference between the physical and the mental. If I need help, I'll go and get help with either.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and somebody, for example, like myself, I find for me, I work best if I put strategies in place to cope when I see or feel that something is coming up. I don't get very outwardly stressed. I'm not one of these people, I don't really have peaks of emotion, so to speak, in any way. I don't get overly happy or overly, I'm very sort of flat like that. It tends to manifest in different ways. I'll get ill in a certain way, or I start getting overly fatigued, and that's how it manifests for me. And when I feel like that, I tend to go, right, okay, what can I cut back on? What could I do more of that was actually more beneficial to me? And that's how I personally cope. Now, I would say everybody's different. I think that's the thing to keep in mind. It's very, very easy sometimes to look at, say, social media and go, oh, what they're moaning at, and what they're doing. But we all function differently, and we all cope differently, and it's allowing for that. I do find it difficult sometimes, if I'm honest, looking at certain profiles on Facebook and go, God, what are they moaning about again? What? But that's just how they cope. That's just how they function, and that's part of my journey with this sort of thing, is learning that we're all different, aren't we? We're all,
of course,
we all think and feel differently. Just because I'm coping in my way doesn't mean that somebody else is going to work for them. So
exactly,
cool.
And I think the most useful thing I got from the Ollie sort of group was just to be around and be able to talk to people who are struggling, So noticing the very subtle signs, it's people hide this very well, and it's hard to tell because we all put on the fake front of being super happy and all the time. But there are certain signs that you can pick up. And then it's basically just being there and being willing to just talk, not judge, listen. And if they ask for help, helping them in any way that you can. So I think that's one of the keys, but it's obviously difficult for some people to open up and actually explain how they feel. But I don't know why, because everyone struggles. No one has it perfectly easy, do they?
No. And you would hope that given time, this is something, and I think it is changing. I think that given, in maybe sort of 15, 20 years time, this is just something that people deal with the same as, and it's not that I'm not simplifying it or in any way sort of comparing it in seriousness, but almost like, you wake up and you've got a cold, you go to the chemist and you get some cold remedies. People will maybe, again, I'm not trying to downplay it, but it's more like that, oh, I'm feeling like this, I will go and do this. And it will be just socially acceptable, and everybody, it's on everybody's radar that this is a thing, and it's more open, and it's not. There's no stigma attached to it, I guess.
Yeah,
I think it's going that way slowly.
Absolutely, yeah. I think just people be more willing to talk to it about it with their friends. With professionals, it will just become more and more open until it's just no one feels like they have to hide how they feel anymore, and that would be cool.
It will be cool. That's a good point. That's a cool point to end it on today. It will all be cool. But no, thanks for that. I think that's a very worthwhile chat, and a slightly more serious one than what we would normally do, but at the same time, very beneficial. If anybody, what I will quickly say, I know at this point we would normally say if anybody has any feedback or any thoughts or anything on this and they want to get in touch, please do. Well, I would say on this, if anybody out there does want to just chat, then get in touch.
Yeah.
We're both on social media. We're both, we're on there. Even if you just want to send us a message or an email or a voice record, anything, just get in touch and talk these things through. And I certainly would be more than happy. If anybody out there wants to reach out and get in touch.
Me too.
Whether or not my advice would be any good, I don't know. But
go and do 500 roundhouse kicks.
Yeah, it's certainly that helps me. Depending on how I'm feeling, it sometimes a pad suffice, sometimes it has to be a face.
Yeah, agreed.
Cool. All right, sir. Well, thanks very much for that very worthwhile chat, and we'll speak soon.
Will do, mate. Bye.
Enjoy our podcast? Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review Kickback with Chris on iTunes today.
All right, guys, so double header today. We've got Matthew Chapman back on the phone again. We couldn't get enough of him, so he's back again.
Hey, hello. How you doing?
Oh, 2 for 1.
Not bad, eh? It's a good deal.
Slightly lighter topic this time around. We're going to be talking. Well, I've noticed that there are, and it's a positive thing for the industry. There are a lot more schools popping up, specifically full-time schools, teaching a variety of content. I actually saw somebody, and I can't remember who it was. They've actually set up a full-time, pure fitness kickboxing-based school.
Oh.
So they're doing nothing but fitness-based kickboxing content.
Well, that's kind of interesting. Did you see my social media post the other day about how I would advertise my school if I started again?
Well, you've stolen your idea, clearly.
Yeah, because
I know what you're going to say. Yeah.
What I thought I would do is, rather than say I teach Jeet Kune Do, Taekwondo, Kung Fu, kickboxing, I would make classes based on what people wanted. So I'd have maybe 2 classes a night on martial arts for fitness. That could be any type of martial arts for fitness. I'd have 2 classes a week on martial arts for self-defense. And I'd have 2 classes a week on martial arts for self-confidence, self-improvement, or just for martial arts sake, And that way people could select what they wanted. Because the problem I think now is people rock up to your gym and they say, they want to get fit. So if your class is not particularly fitness orientated, they don't get what they need. or they rock up and they want to learn self-defense, but you've got the opposite problem that you're doing like a lot of boxer-size fitness type stuff, and they don't learn self-defense. So I would, if I was going to do it again, I'd do it like that. I'd have specific classes with specific goals that people could select. So very clever of them to do that.
Absolutely. It'd be interesting to see how it goes. I mean, I can't think of anything more stress-free, to be fair. You've got, well, I mean, obviously you've got class planning, but, it's quite straightforward, I imagine. The only thing you would have to do is just you have to listen to shocking music for...
Yes.
Although,
over and over
saying that, I actually saw a guy in the States, I can't remember how he phrased it, but they were like, like you get these silent raves where everybody has headphones on. He was doing that for his fitness kickboxing. They all had headphones on. It was silent so that he didn't have any issue. He was doing fitness kickboxing sessions at like 4 a.m.
Oh.
So there was no music. So I was like, that's smart. So they all had headphones on and they were bashing the pads. Yeah, there was a noise of hitting the pad. There was no loud music.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and he had a mic set on and he had his music on so he could hear it, but he had it turned down, obviously, so it was much lower. So I was like, that's quite clever.
Oh, right.
But anyway, speaking of clever ideas.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Here we go, segue. One thing that I even now, I've been full-time now for 20 years teaching.
Wow.
People go, you must have all these ideas and all these different things. And the truth of it is I do it anyway. I tend to go in like cycles of, and then I'll see a drill and I'll go, oh, I used to do that. I've forgotten about that.
Yeah,
so what I have in my school now is I have a folder with ideas for teaching the 4 to 6 year old group. Then I have one for the 6 to 9 years, and then I have one for the 9 to sort of 13s, and then an adults one. And every now and again, I'll dip into it for ideas and just refresh myself. And
yes,
and I've found that's been a great benefit. And I know that you've got a product that you're looking to launch soon that works around the same sort of ideas. Am I wrong? Am I right? Is it true?
No, you're right. I'm hopefully launching it this weekend if I can get it bloody finished. But
well, get off this. Get on.
Yeah, go and finish it off. Yeah.
Talking on podcasts.
Yeah, wait. Yeah. So what it is that I was thinking about all the content I've created. I've created about 60 hours worth of video on all sorts of martial arts topics, and I was thinking like, sometimes people don't want to sit through an hour's worth of video to get the one drill that they wanted. They just want a quick idea for a drill for class or to refresh their memory on a particular combination that they've forgotten. So I thought I'd create kind of like a toolbox. I called it the Martial Arts Instructor's Toolbox. And what it is it's an online course where you can select the type of lesson that you want to learn at that particular time. So you log in, and then I've got a section on basic stance and movement. I've got a section on footwork. I've got a section on boxing, a section on kicking, a section on knees and elbows, a section on defense, a section on sparring. So that, if you've got a sparring class coming up and you want to have some new drills for your sparring class, you can go to the section on sparring.
Fantastic. Yeah. So if you're like me, and I'm quite sporadic when it comes to class plans, but every now and again I do go through phases where I go, okay, I'm going to plan this, and it is useful for that because, you as I say, I like to think I'm going to have all the ideas in there, but it just sometimes you just blank. It's like, I don't know what I'm going to do, also, and you don't want to go stale. You don't want the students to be like, over and over again doing the same things.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. What happens is we don't actually realize we do it, but we have like a handful of drills that we keep going back to, and it makes it a little bit stale and repetitive. We're not even aware of it, but all instructors are like that. So to have a bit of variety is obviously good. One, for the students, because it's the disguised repetition thing, but also I think it's good for you teaching it because you don't get bored, and you're excited about teaching new content, which is quite important for an instructor as well. So I was thinking about all the stuff that I do and what I could add. And then I had an idea that, I haven't shown any of the weapons training that I've ever done on video before. So I've added a section on what I call stick boxing, which is stick fighting with kickboxing combined.
Oh.
Yeah, it's fun.
so I get to not only kick people in the face, but hit them with a stick as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, isn't it?
I'm all over that.
The reason why I do that instead of teach Filipino martial arts traditionally is because I taught at a kickboxing school. And I found if I tried to teach kickboxers to fight like eskrima fighters, they couldn't do it. They couldn't pick it up. Too difficult because the mechanics and the body movement slightly different. So what I tried to do is make the transition between kickboxing and weapons smoother by including a lot of the kickboxing elements in the weapons and simplifying the weapons. So that is also going to be in there. So there'll be a module on stick boxing and all the stuff that I do for that, and stick grappling, which is like MMA with a stick as well, which is fun. Yeah, it's very fun. And then I had another thought. I thought, I haven't taught any of my grappling skills because I've been grappling for about 15 years as well. So should I add that? And then I was having a glass of wine and I thought, actually, no, I shouldn't teach that because I've got a mate who's a 3 times BJJ world champion. So I'll ask him to teach that instead.
Yeah.
So he's added a module on no-gi grappling. So if you need like drills for a no-gi grappling class or an MMA class, you can learn it from a 3-time world champion BJJ black belt second dan. Instead of trying to, learn it from me because I'm not anywhere close to that level of skill.
Okay, so you're going to have other instructors in there as well, teaching bits like a specialist. Okay, that's cool.
You're going to have obviously I'll ask you if it's okay if you could send me some kicking content to put on there. And then I was going to ask a few other people, self-defense guys, if they wouldn't mind me sharing a couple of their videos on there as well, so people can select extra content that maybe they're not familiar with. For example, like I'm not really a specialist in self-defense. I think there's way, way better people out there who can teach you about self-defense stuff. So I'd rather use them than try and make stuff up myself, Yeah,
sure.
And then the last bit I was going to add was a business section, because although teaching fantastic martial arts is the core of running a successful school, it's not the only thing that you need. You do need like fundamental business skills, marketing skills, retention stuff. So there's going to be a module in there as well where people can get all that information. And I'm going to host a monthly webinar once a month where they can ask questions about the business side of martial arts, and I'll help them out. So it's going to be a bit of a beast.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, it's going to have a lot of stuff on there, and it's
and you want this ready by this weekend?
Yeah, I want it done by Saturday, so I better get to work. I mean, obviously, I've been working on it for about 3 months.
Oh, God, that's all right then. Yeah, it's all good. I thought you were just like, right, let's get started.
No. It's almost ready. It's just a few little bits and pieces, but I think it'll be good for instructors of all sort of levels just to have that toolbox thing. Sometimes you need a hammer. Sometimes you need a spanner, right? You can go in and get what you want when you need it, rather than having to watch a load of other stuff you may not necessarily need.
And let's be honest, there's quite a few of us out there. We tend to sometimes use the spanner as a hammer.
Yeah, and it doesn't work.
Rather than accept that we shouldn't be using that spanner as a hammer when there's somebody out there that's really good with the hammer. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. Going out there and finding other people that are better at the thing that you're wanting to do and learning from it.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the basis of education, is it not? But anyway, we sometimes struggle with that, don't we, as martial artists? As well, I would think, listening to this as well as somebody that's got up and coming instructors and looking to sort of delegate a little bit more, this would be a really good tool for. I've got he's a fantastic young lad. He's just coming through our instructor program, recently qualified, but he's new. And I would think having a resource like this for somebody who's young and hungry and wanting to learn, it'd be great, because I made some, as we all do, I made some fantastic mistakes as a young instructor. I would hope that, we all go through it, but if you can minimize that with some guidance,
yes.
I've got, if I had have had something like this, a younger me, he's just starting out as a full-time instructor. I not learned how to teach, but I used to go along and watch my instructors with a clipboard and a piece of paper and copy everything down. And to have a resource to be able to dip into from my phone or a tablet or whatever, it's rather than watching cat videos and
silliness on YouTube, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It is. You go on there for one thing and you end up
somewhere else entirely. I just kind of felt like it was needed. It's just another resource that helps. I want to make martial arts instructors' lives easier, because
We need it.
Having something like that where you can just get what you need quickly and easily. And at a later date, you might need a bit of business advice. And at a later date, you might decide to add a stick boxing program to your school. Or at a later date, you might investigate no-gi grappling. Just to have that all in one place, I thought was pretty cool.
Absolutely. And you've got the content there. And if you're involving other instructors from different backgrounds as well, you've got the contacts there as well, I would presume. So if you're thinking, this is something I'm interested in, you can ask them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of, I'm really looking forward to getting it launched if I can get.
So what I need to do now is I need to delay releasing this podcast until after you've launched it.
No, do it now. Do it now. Doesn't matter.
So that no crafty what's out there goes, I'm going to do this.
They won't do it. And this is the magic about people. I speak to a lot of instructors, obviously, about setting up online courses, right? And they're all like, I couldn't possibly do that. Someone would steal my stuff and put it up online as their own. And I'm like, you don't realize what people are like. People aren't that motivated, and that they just won't do it. They literally won't do it. I could give away everything that I've done, and people still wouldn't do it. And I do. The amount of content that I've got out there that's on free on YouTube and Facebook, ridiculous. So I don't worry about things like that.
Cool. Well, on that, I think I've got a delivery just arrived at my door. So I'm going to go and grab it.
Enjoy.
Thank you. We'll speak soon, sir.
Will do. Cheers, mate. Bye.
Cheers, dude. Bye.
You're listening to Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast, brought to you by www.onlinekicking.co.uk.
So thanks as always to Matt for his time. I'm sure you would agree. Two, although very different topics, some important content covered there. And as we mentioned in the recordings, if anybody out there is listening and they do want to get in touch on either of those subjects, then please do feel free to drop us an email. We're all over Facebook as well, social media. So drop us a message, drop us a call, whichever. As always, if you head over to kickbackpodcast.com, all the contact details are there. Okay, so to finish up, and next week, a bit of a cool one. I'm not going to say which podcast because it's not been announced yet, but I am going to be a guest on another podcast, one based in the United States. So what I'm hoping to do is to share with you guys the recording that I do for them on this show, sort of like a content share, so to speak. So keep a listen out for that one. As I say, I'll be releasing details of my upcoming workshop ideas. Oh, as well, a real quick one. Some of you will have seen that I released a new showreel for myself not too long ago. That was the result of somebody getting in touch with regards to a potential job offer, and I needed to update my reel really quick. So I put that one together, and at the same time, my friends and fellow teammates over at SG Action, Mr. Martin Wan, has just put together a fantastic new showreel for our team. So as with the other content, I'll add that to the show notes so you can go check that out, give it a like and a share and all that good stuff. And yes, I will catch up with you, all being well, in a week or two. And have a great rest of your day, week, whatever it is you're doing. And I'll catch you soon.
Brought to you by www.mittmaster.com.